The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
Somebody once asked a wise and deep man, "What is love?" And he answered, "Love is learning the song in another person's heart and singing this song to them when they forget it." And when I heard that insight, it reminded me of a story that happened in my youth. I grew up in Brooklyn, and there was an elderly Jew, a survivor of Stalinist, communist purges in the Soviet Union. He's lost his family. He was a lone man, a very sincere Jew. His name was Reb Zalman Teibel. He introduced to the Hasidic world a very famous song, Ano Avda de Kutsha Brichu. This was his song. He brought it in the 60s. Years later, when I remembered him, he was already a man in his high 80s or low 90s. And unfortunately, he suffered from Alzheimer's or dementia. He was somewhat senile, so they put him in a home for assistant living in Williamsburg called Eshel Avraham. One year, right before Yom Kippur, somebody in Eshel Avraham said, "You know, Reb Zalman Teibel was very close to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Let me bring him to the Rebbe to get a piece of honey cake, a lekach, for Yom Kippur, and a bracha, a blessing, for a Shana Tovum, Sukkah, for a good and sweet year." The Lubavitcher Rebbe had a custom, the eve of Yom Kippur after Mincha, almost until evening, he would stand by his room, and thousands of Jews would come by. Everybody came by for a split second, gave him a piece of honey cake and a blessing for a good and sweet year. Reb Zalman Teibel was brought from Williamsburg in a wheelchair. They brought him into the room of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And the Rebbe saw Reb Zalman Teibel after not seeing him for quite a while. He's been in this old age home. But the Rebbe immediately observed that he's mentally completely absent. He's just not present. And the Rebbe started to talk to him and give him a bracha and bless him. I wanted to give him the cake. But sadly, he was, expression of the Mishnah, somewhat what you would call senile over bottle, and he just could not make a connection. There were thousands of people waiting. It was very close to Yom Kippur. And suddenly, the Lubavitcher Rebbe stopped the line and he started to sing. And which song did he sing? Solo. The Rebbe had a beautiful, beautiful voice. And solo, he sang the whole song.
I know I would go.
In middle of the song, Reb Zalman suddenly came back to life. You know, sometimes ordinary words cannot trigger the subconscious core that is very aware of everything. But a niggin, a melody that comes from a person's youth, from their early years, is embedded in the deepest parts of their brain, of their neshama. And with the niggin, he came to life. And he was there. He was Zalman Teibel like the good old days. And suddenly, he sees he's standing in front of his Rebbe. And the feelings of a chassid to a Rebbe and a real Rebbe to a real chassid are not describable. The love, the commitment, the loyalty on both sides, the trust, the dedication. Reb Zalman went into a state of ecstasy. He couldn't believe it. He's here, right here. The Rebbe was so moved. That's when he gave him the piece of cake. And he showered him with beautiful, stupendous brachas for a healthy year and long years. And he indeed lived quite a few years later. And then I understood what it means. Love is learning the song in another person's heart and singing that song to them when they forget it. Every single person has a song. Reb Nachman says, every bush, every tree, every animal, every plant, every insect has a song. Certainly, Neshamas Yisrael, every neshama, Ashira Lashem B'chayoi, Azamra Lelekai B'yoidi, every soul has its unique song. Ahavas Yisrael means not just, I like you, I get along with you, let's unite, united for protection, as words, as slogans. Ahavas Yisrael is the courage for you and I and each and every one of us to learn the song in another person's heart. Learn the song in your wife's heart. Learn the song in your husband's heart. Learn the song in each of your children's hearts. Learn the song in the heart of every person you encounter. And when they forget their song, instead of getting angry, instead of getting judgmental, instead of getting critical, instead of retreating to fear or ridicule, instead, take a deep breath and sing that song back to them.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org